Fill your thirst beside the river. Wash the journey from your hands. Feel the comfort flow inside you. Come this far, you understand. Fear's not allowed, where dreams can be lost or found.
Welcome to Healing Outside the Box. Tonight's show is about calling in spirit, and we have with us Gregory Besek and Judy Peluso returning again to join us for another lovely interview and some more detail. And my name is Traci Crampton. This is my co-host.
And my name is Rosemary Lachance, and we're both Reiki practitioners.
Yes. And first to introduce Judy. Judy Peluso is a spiritual counselor who holds a BA in psychology from the College of Mount St. Vincent in New York. Although she is no longer affiliated with any organized religion, she is an ordained minister with the Universal Life Church, which embraces and encourages deep personal spiritual growth and humanistic values. She is honored to perform life ceremonies, marriages, civil unions, baptisms, child blessings, funerals, and memorial services. Each of her ceremonies is unique and reflects the spiritual beliefs of those for whom they are developed. Judy has been in private practice for 30 years. During this time, she has had the privilege of studying death and dying, grief and bereavement with Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, Stephen Levine, Peter Lynch, and Bess Chosek. She has also studied shamanism and spiritual healing. She trained in the practice of energy medicine for 3 years at the Institute of Healing Arts and Sciences in Connecticut, as well as 3 years in consagrity therapy. Judy teaches at the Connecticut Healing Institute. Judy's life journey has helped her to develop an inner wisdom which is reflected in her work. Besides the ceremonies described above, her services include spiritual psychotherapy and counseling, grief and bereavement counseling, mentoring, energy medicine, shamanic healing, and massage therapy. Judy believes personal growth and healing is an ongoing, deeply spiritual process which requires the integration of body, mind, and spirit. Such integration necessitates awareness of self and of our connectedness to Mother Earth and all life. This in turn contributes toward building a society based on love, compassion, and acceptance of all beings. Thank you for joining us, Judy.
Thanks, Traci.
Thank you, Judy.
Thanks, Rosemary.
And I'm going to read a little bio of Gregory Besek. Gregory Besek is a shamanic priest, minister of the Circle of Sacred Earth Church, and the founder and director of the Center Pole, an organization he founded in 1994. The Center Pole is dedicated to keeping ancient spiritual traditions alive. Since its inception, the Center Pole has run over 200 workshops, while also sponsoring shamans from traditions around the world. These trainings include prayer, meditation, the shamanic journey, healing, soul retrieval, divination, depossession, ritual, and more. Greg began his formal spiritual training in 1972 when he became a solitary monk. In 1974, he was accepted to live in a Hindu ashram, which is a monastery. Beginning in 1982, Greg was trained in a number of healing modalities, including deep connective tissue manipulation, postural integration, Swedish massage, foot reflexology, cranial sacral, Reiki therapeutic touch, polarity, hypnotherapy, NLP, Mary E. healing, counseling, and an extensive training in shamanic healing practices. In 1989, Greg began his formal shamanic studies with Dr. Michael Harner from the Foundation of Shamanic Studies, where he completed the Foundation's most advanced and extensive 3-year training in 1997. Since then, he has studied in Nepal on 3 different occasions with the local shamans and also studied and worked with many shamans from around the world, including Native American, Peruvian, Korean, Gypsy, Mongolian, and Tibetan traditions. An active meditator, spiritual practitioner, and researcher for over 35 years, Greg has formulated and taught many trainings and techniques to help individuals understand their own sacredness within. His roots trainings have helped inspire and transform hundreds of individuals over the past 15 years. Greg maintains a private practice in Middletown, Connecticut, where he shares an historic Victorian house with 2 other humans, 5 cats, and 4 parrots. He can be reached at the center pole. Welcome. Thank you for coming back to our show. So nice to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
And thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Pleasure.
And now I'm going to turn the show over to Greg, where he's going to give us a demonstration of calling in the spirits. As soon as I can get him unplugged. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about this first.
Oh.
Okay.
All right. We'll plug you back in.
Plugging in and out.
In and out. Plugging in and
That's how
out.
simple it
We have to
was.
do this, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse us.
Calling in the spirits is a primary function of the shaman in shamanic traditions, and it is one that is done in the beginning of any ceremony. The very first thing that is done generally is to smudge the place, or basically cleanse the area with usually some kind of smoke, or it could be done with water or sound. Many times people, the gong will sound, and that's a clearing of space. A conch shell can be blown, and that is a clearing of space. So there's a lot of different traditions clear space differently. It's to clear it and to cleanse it to, at that point, call to spirits and ask them to come to us to help us do our work, because no one works alone. Everything is connected, and so in their humility, and they ask the spirits to come into the sacredness, the space, which they help make it sacred, to do the work we're about to do. So today I want to demonstrate this, and it's something you just can't get up and do and say, well, this is how it's done. It's either you do it or you don't. So I'm going to need to put my all into it. And it'll be nice because it will create, and you'll feel a real difference here, I think, in the studio. So I'll get up and do that now.
So you're ready to get up now?
You can unplug me.
can
All right, I'm going to unplug you now.
Fantastic.
Again, I'm going to try.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Okay,
There you go.
I'm clear.
You're clear.
So this is done. Calling to the 4 directions, which are called the horizontal planes, and then the 3 vertical planes, the upper, the middle, and the lower worlds. And after that, I call those spirits into the sacred space. I ask one to come into me, to be voluntarily possessed. At that point, generally, I would do a dance, but we don't have a space for that. But I'll just call that spirit into me and call it into the space here, and we'll take it from there. So as you'll see, I'll go to each direction, to the 4 directions of the horizontal plane, and the 3 directions of the vertical planes, the upper, middle, and lower worlds. And I'll begin.
It's beautiful.
That was. Gave me goosebumps. Let me plug you back in.
Goosebumps also.
Can you tell us a little bit about the rattle that you use and how it was made, and did you make it
I try to make all my own tools, yes. And this is made out of elk. And this is something we soak, and then we fill it with cotton, and we sew it up, and it's just, I like this one. Usually they come around. I like this one here because it's got a little lump in it, and it's a little funny, and I got a little funny stick for it. It's just like me, you know. A little odd, you know. It's out of the ordinary, you know. And so I made this a number of years ago, and it's still holding.
It has a wonderful sound.
It's still holding its base, and it's seen a lot of wonderful work.
And do you have seeds inside?
Yes, we put corn inside, usually blue corn, yellow corn, or a mixture. Sometimes if we're called to put in some pebbles, pebbles of crystals or something, you can add a lot of different things in here, which is different medicine, which adds to the power of the rattle.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see you brought some more things that you use for this. You want to show the audience what they are and explain to them too?
Sure.
It's so interesting.
Fantastic. We'll have to
I'm afraid to unplug myself.
That's right.
This is, I said before, sometimes of clearing space. This is a conch shell, which has the tip cut off here.
Oh.
And has all hand carving in it. I got this in Nepal when I go to
That's
Nepal.
beautiful.
It's very beautiful.
It has the 8 sacred symbols of Tibetan Buddhism. And this is something that they would play again to clear the space. Do you want me to blow it?
Yes.
Sure, go for it.
Wow.
So it makes a nice loud noise.
It does.
And, again, it kind of clears the space. So it has other functions also, but...
It's beautiful.
So this is something. Yeah, so maybe, I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, if you hold it
they
up
see
high
that?
enough over the, they can see that.
It's gorgeous.
So it's all hand carved.
Wow.
So this is to clear the space. Let me get the other one
Now,
there.
so you described earlier that there are different methods for clearing the space, either by sound or by smoke. And are there certain situations where one is preferred to the other? Or is
No,
it
just traditionally. Different traditions use different means. A lot of them use smoke, and the sacred fumigants, the sage. Native American uses sage, sweetgrass, pine. A lot of different things you can use. Tobacco. This is a horn that comes from Nepal. This is part of Tibetan shamanism. And in Tibetan shamanism, they have a number of worlds that they work within, because shamans work in different worlds, different vibratory elevations.
That's beautiful.
And this is actually a thigh bone. There's a thigh bone in this.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
You hold it up a little bit over the sign. There you go. If they can see that. Wow. And so it's inside.
The thigh bone is encased within this metal, yes.
Wow.
And this is used to call in the hungry ghosts. There's certain techniques.
Hungry?
Yeah, the hungry ghosts are at a certain level, usually it's called Rakshas Lok, the world of in the West, where people who have passed over are trapped. It's kind of like a purgatory in a way. They're seen as little beings with large bellies, little tiny mouths, and they can never get enough of this world. And so therefore when they pass over, they always feel like they're always hungry, they're always thirsty. They're always, needy. And so when you live that way in this life, when you pass over, you may go to Rakshas Lok. And so there are rituals to help these people.
Okay.
To gain merit, so they can, the next incarnation, they won't have to be trapped in Rakshas Lok in the West for too long. And part of their ceremony
Do you have
is
to
this
cook a lot
ceremony.
when you call them in? Make sure there's a feast available?
Well, there is that's a great question, because you become the feast. The shaman offers himself up to be the feast of these guys, of these hungry ghosts, and very much in the same way that Christ offered his body up. This is an ancient tradition that goes way back 2,000 years. It goes way before that, that the healers who feel confident to understand the true nature of reality offer up their own flesh and their own blood to those for healing. And so that's a ceremony called Chud, C-H-O-D, which means to cut off the ego and to allow yourself to become food. It's a very sacred, very beautiful. I've taught this workshop a number of times, and most people have taken it and said it was one of the most powerful experiences that they've ever had, offering themselves up. We usually think, here I am, someone take my stuff from me, I'm so messed up. But this is like, no, you offer yourself. Here I am, take of me, take all of me. Heart, we say, please take my mind, but this is take my mind, take my body, take my emotions, take everything. I offer it up for the healing of all.
Okay.
So that's called Chud, that ceremony. This is part of the Chud ceremony.
Does that make a noise? Do you blow that?
Yes.
You want to do that?
You're going to call him the hungry?
Sure. No, I don't want to call him. Okay, guys, you can
Am I ready to offer
we
myself
have
up?
sacred
I don't
space here.
know.
We have sacred
Okay.
space here. We're protected.
All right.
But this is a very, like, if you could picture very thin mouths, they're always sucking. They can never get enough. And so this is a thing that's very hard to blow. Let me see if I can get it out.
Wow.
And that's the way you blow it.
Gee, it sounds
like
almost
it
like it
takes
would
a lot of
call
effort.
something like that, and
That's
doesn't it? It's
right.
a funny
Yeah.
noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's the horn for the Chud ceremony.
It's so interesting how many traditions that are using Christianity
Right.
came from
So it's like archetypes. I mean, they're all
were
repeated
present
throughout so many
long
different.
before Christianity. I think it's so many people have no idea about that.
What else do we have there?
What else?
Oh,
Of course, the drums.
Yeah, we have the drums. Judy brought some drums. I brought a drum, and that's something that is used. There's a lot of ways to go into sacred trance around the world. Sometimes we use drums, and sometimes we use a rattle. Sometimes we will grind rocks together, just two rocks together, we grind. The Tibetan bowl, which I think a lot of people are familiar with,
Yes.
some people
Yeah, the
are.
singing
The
bowl,
playing of the singing bowl, Tibetan bowl, is a place, a way to journey. Obviously entheogens, which are sacred plants, are ways that people journey also by taking psilocybin mushrooms and stuff.
Oh, right, yeah.
That's part of the shamanic tradition. Only about 10% of the people in the world that do shamanism really go to that direction. It's much safer and easier for us now. We just use the drums and the rattles, which most traditions have always used also anyway. So,
Okay. We'd like to get some demonstration of the drumming, too. Can you all do that?
yeah, you want to drum
I
together?
would love to drum together.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Can you tell us a little bit about the drum
Yeah,
and how it was
what you,
made?
yeah, exactly, and what you do with
Any
it.
symbolism
It's
there?
going to be a challenge. What am I going to
Can
wind
you
up?
get that from me?
So
Let me see if I can. Yeah, I think I can do that. Without
How about
unplugging.
if I
You
hold
hold
you like this?
Okay.
Okay.
You hold the plug.
We got some movement on stage
Yeah,
here
we're
today.
kind of plugged in with microphones here, but we're working it out.
Good stretch.
How was that?
Yeah. All
See,
right.
that's what they used to call me when I played softball. Stretch.
Stretch, did they?
Must have been a first baseman.
Yes, I was.
Okay. A little background
Judy, you want
into
to talk about the
this,
drums?
and why you do this, and
Yeah.
Well, I especially love the drum. To me, the drum is symbolic of Mother Earth and the heartbeat of Mother Earth.
Heartbeat, yes.
I like to use it. Wait, we're getting a little tangled here. Wait.
Here we go.
Okay. I like to use it for different forms of healing as well. I like drumming over people. The vibration of the drum is very powerful, and I think it helps to release energies as well as to help ground people and to really
Yes.
connect with the heartbeat of Mother Earth. Drumming is also used, a rhythmic form of drumming is used for journeying. and it's hypnotic. One goes into a trance, and so it's just a wonderful sound. And there are different types of drums that have various sounds. Like Greg's is a little higher pitched than this one is. I have one at home that's much deeper than this one, but to me it just brings me right to my heart. So I love the sound of it. Is there anything you want to?
No, the drum is just, again, one of those tools that are used to go into an altered state so that you can experience your own heart, your own soul, and it's a place to go deeper into the place that we journey, where we can travel. Our souls can travel and move to other spaces and go to the spiritual world and ask for healing, and ask for help, ask those spirits to come back with us to help heal our clients and stuff like that. So the drum is just one of those tools that's pretty universal, except down in South America. Mostly they use the rattle, but many other places around the world the drum is utilized, you know, and so it's used a lot. And there's just something beautiful about the drum. You can just pick it up. If you're not feeling great, no matter what, you just start drumming, and it just puts you in a whole different space, you know.
Can people learn to do that? Can they,
I was
do
wondering,
they
do you
have
have
classes?
workshops?
I have workshops making
Drumming.
drumming workshops and rattle making workshops. So
and,
yes.
and teaching how to drum and all?
Oh yeah,
I love that.
Well,
And do they have people like do it in a group and so forth? Do you do that?
well, what we do is generally have a workshop and we put them together. At that point, they're still wet, so you can't drum them. You have to wait at least a day. But then we have people come back, and we all drum together, you know, for a while, and we have, you know, a little talk about it, and, you know, learn how to drum, and you know, go into that space. So it's very rewarding and very beautiful, you know.
And what is the practice of making the drum itself? Are there certain materials that you use that have meaning? And
Well, the hoop itself usually is made of the wood part here is a lot of times made out of cedar or willow.
That's nice.
okay.
And these are made into slats, and then they're very thinly cut,
Okay.
and then they're glued to be a circle. And then I get these. At least I got mine. I don't know where you got yours from, but
I did make mine.
you didn't make
I have
yours.
to
That's
confess.
beautiful.
Didn't you make
I
one
did
at
not
my
make mine.
workshop? That
No.
you
Yeah,
never
I'm going to drum on
You're
him.
fired.
I bought mine in Amherst.
Okay. Well, I get my drum skins from an individual out west who gets them from Native Americans who, you know, they kill the animal, but they eat the animal. And so they do it in a sacred way. And so he cuts the skins for me and sends me the hoop and the skins. I take them and soak them, and the group comes. We lace them all together.
Okay.
And make the drum, and then we make our beaters.
Oh.
Now, this is a little fancy when I put a rattle on the end because I like a lot of sound.
And bells. I saw you
And
have
bells.
bells too.
You can put a lot of stuff. People paint their drums and do different things. So they're very personal. They become something like they live, and you feel their life. You know?
Oh, so it's like a
And
canvas
so it's,
of their
yeah,
life,
it's
yeah.
beautiful, and so you have a relationship with it, and you honor it, and you know, you work with it. Try to work with it daily, if not a few times a week at least.
Also, aren't bells used in Tibetan shamanism as well?
Bells usually are draped around your neck in Tibetan shamanism, and when you become possessed, because shamans ask spirits, they're helping spirits to possess them, so it's a voluntary possession to help
Okay.
empower them. And when they get possessed like that, they start shaking
Okay.
like this. And I've got all these bells and stuff. I didn't bring those today, and so people know this individual now, this shaman has been possessed by his power, by his spirits, and therefore he or she can be approached now for healing.
And that's a term that some people are afraid of.
Yeah,
so
to hear that,
just-
they would
just
think I'm
to,
afraid to be
possessed,
possessed.
Yeah, to
Yeah, there's so
calm
many
our
negative
audience so that they know that
connotations.
Well, possessing, you know,
inviting anything
Yeah.
evil into.
well,
right.
you can't do this until you feel equipped to do this. But, you know, if you talk to an athlete and he plays a great game, or she plays a great game, and they say, yeah, I feel like I played possessed. So, you know, the world is, in the universe is teeming with spirits, and I think that a lot of us, sometimes we do things great, and sometimes we screw things up, and sometimes we don't know what happened to us. But in the shamanic world, the universe is teeming with spirits, and they come in and out a lot of times that we don't recognize. For some reason, again, we play out of our heads. We play like we're possessed. And,
Yeah, and there are many
so-
days I wish I could be someone else, so
Right.
I'd be happy to learn how to invite them in.
Most healers who do spiritual work realize that they start
Yes,
working
you
their
work with
spirits.
spirits,
When they do
yes.
Reiki, there's a spirit
People-
behind them.
I
You-
can
I'm
definitely
sure you
feel
guys,
the presence
right?
of
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
my guides and the guides of the people that I'm working with.
Exactly.
Yeah. But shamans learn how to do this.
Yes.
Learn how to protection.
Retreat.
Protection, yeah.
Yeah. So
Also in energy healing, a lot of work is done in releasing spirits that sometimes just are looking for a space. And
Yeah.
they're not evil, but say if you have surgery and you have something removed, there's a space there.
Right.
That's why it's good to
They're
have
filling that
healings
void.
after surgery.
Yeah.
You know, to release any energy. It's not a bad energy. It's just an energy that's not yours, and you
Right.
don't need it. So
That's
that
good to
concept is
know.
used in
Yeah.
energy healing as well. The removal of spirits that have either stayed in the energy field of the person for one reason or another. Sometimes we bring parts of past lives with
They're
us.
looking for
and
a
it
ride,
helps
or
to
they're looking
release
for the
that as
light
well.
that you. Sometimes they're they're
just a
attracted
space.
to the light. Or,
A space, yeah. I know when I first started studying energy healing, and they were talking about this, I had somewhat reaction too. What do you mean spirits take over? And it was just that it's all energy. Everything
is
is
all
energy. And the energies are looking for a place to rest. And if there's a space open within you, whether it be a place of doubt, where you haven't come, open that part of yourself, and it's a nice warm place for a spirit to just rest for a while. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. You don't need it though, it's not yours.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I've heard of that they sometimes cling to us
Yeah.
in like clusters
our
of grapes or
our
something we
energies
can't
may
see.
match
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And it draws them right
Vibrationally,
in.
right.
Vibrationally, yeah.
Right.
So it's fascinating.
It is interesting.
So the whole other discussion that we could have some other time about that whole world, but it's really important to understand. Is, if we would work with the spiritual world, it's important to know how to negotiate it and to really get a good understanding of it. So, But anyway, we're going to drum, right?
Let's drum.
Yes.
So usually after we smudge and after we call on the spirits, then generally we drum. It's like a celebration, and we try kind of drum together, because togetherness is with one heart, one drum, one heart. The beats are together. So we'll do a little bit of that.
Right. Great. Well, we're looking forward to it.
Okay.
Why don't
Here
you
we go.
get started and wow.
And
That's
So
amazing.
nice. So
I
very,
can't. I
very
wish I
nice.
could describe to our audience just how that feels within you, that vibration that just gets to your very soul. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of the
Now-
things I also like about the drum and using it when people are journeying or before I do an energy healing on people is that when we are in a spiritual practice and going into a trance, I also believe it's very important for us to stay within our bodies. You know, that a lot of times we confuse spirituality with rejecting and leaving our bodies. And I think the drums, you can feel it.
You really
You
do
really
feel
feel
like
your
you're
body.
pulling into the
Yes.
center of your core.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that enables us to meditate or travel more deeply and go into a deeper trance because we're very grounded.
Absolutely.
You know, so that's
Does
what I think
does
about.
it take a long time to learn how to drum that beautifully?
I never really learned anything.
I know you've been
did it.
doing
We
this
did
for
it in our
years, but it
classes. I had
seems like it
classes
was
with Gregory and we just drummed.
synchronized and
But you
just
pick up
beautiful.
the vibration from each other. You know, like
Okay.
even when you said, "Are you ready?" I was about to look at you and see if you were ready. So it was sort of like we sort of kind of get the sense when it's time to
Okay.
wind it down.
I really want to learn to do that.
So
I've
would
wanted
I.
to do that for so long. We can do it
Just
together.
feels good.
I know,
Yeah,
it does.
yeah.
I
You
like
just get a
it.
drum and start doing it. That's all.
I
That's
know.
all you have to do. You know,
I've
it's-
taken spiritual journeys with Judy, and she has drummed over me, and it's fantastic. I just love it. I love it. And they have tapes that you can buy and CDs with drumming too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not
have,
sure
Something
I have
about it.
CDs. I put out CDs. Drum
Do you?
CDs.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one if
Wow,
you want to make a
that's
copy of it.
Yeah, I would love
Man,
to.
I want to sell it to
Oh,
her.
sell it to her. Oops.
Where'd you get this? Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'll give you one.
But
No,
I
I
don't know.
know
There's
it,
something
yeah.
about, being present with that drum and feeling that vibration.
I
that
know.
You just cannot
And
describe.
I think for yourself, doesn't it make you feel
Oh, I could have kept going.
like say you were stressed or you something and
Oh,
you depressed or anything, and you pick up that and
Oh, it
start
does
doing
help.
it?
It really
It
does.
would change your whole attitude and everything. It's wonderful, spiritual,
It's
wonderful.
wonderful.
Oh, just like when you were calling, like the Indian, when you were standing up there and you did that calling, that voice. It's like I've heard it before. It's like, I'm happy. I want you to keep doing it. You know? That's how I felt. You know.
Yeah, it's what Sacred Space does for us. I did a group healing for a woman last week, and she invited like 15 of her closest friends together. And a few of them had any idea what I was going to do, but after the whole ceremony, everybody just sat and no one wanted to leave. Everybody just was quiet and we were just looking at each other. And when Sacred Space is created, all your answers are right there. You don't have any questions.
Right.
It's just experience it, And that's a lot of what this work is about, And
just takes all those thoughts right out of your head. And
well,
just,
when thoughts come in, it makes us a partial being because
Yeah,
we
it's
focus
true.
on one thing, and there's an object and a subject, and
Right.
we feel divided. What are we going to do with this? When we go into that sacredness, there is only a wholeness. That's what the drum represents. Also, the wholeness of the
That's true.
drum.
And the complete
The circle, complete circle. So this is a thing that a lot's going on nowadays in our country specifically. And we can vote for this one, we can vote for that one, and everybody wants to be divisive. It's not going to work unless we find our own integrity, unless we go into our own sacred space. The responsibility is not who we elect president, the responsibility is ours.
That's right.
And we have to know how to work within sacred space within us, within
that's why I
ourselves.
say govern thyself first.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
And yet we have a responsibility to the world at large because we are all connected and we're all part of everything that happens, things that we like and things that we don't like. Many years ago, back in the late 60s, when I was still in the convent at that time, and I was at a liturgy, and I used to go to what are called alternative liturgies, of course, and somebody read a poem, and I don't remember the name of the poem, but the refrain was, "What is it in me that creates war?" And I went home that day and I spent the entire day in silence because it hit me so deeply. I had already been doing a lot of work around issues of poverty and racism, prison work. And suddenly, when I heard that poem and that refrain, I knew it was all connected. At that time the war in Vietnam was going on. And to me, war became the ultimate expression of greed, of fear, And so that in our own ways, as we live our lives, we all at times experience fear, greed, nastiness, we're human,
Yes.
all of that. But as well as the place of love and kindness and compassion, everything is energy.
Right.
So, you know, as much as we get upset by the awful things that are happening, and I really do, as people who know me, I get very upset about it.
You're not alone.
You know,
You're not alone.
I also know that in my times of humanness, the part of me, my lower self, as I sometimes think of it, I'm part of that. And the more inner healing I do and the more acceptance of my whole being, then I don't have to walk in fear.
Right.
Because to me, fear is the bottom line.
I think
That's
sometimes
either-
people get confused because they don't understand how such conflicting emotions can exist within us. Like they feel that, you know, this is me and I can identify with this, but this is not of me and
Right.
I
And
can't
as-
accept it.
And as
that
humans,
creates the war.
every emotion has its place. And it's learning how to work with our emotions and learn from them. And I think that what goes on in our country and on the earth is our responsibility. And it's very important that we contribute to the process of hopefully bringing people who are going to be more reflective of what we believe and wanting a world of compassion. And it's not going to happen overnight, and no one person can do it.
Right.
And that's part of the fallacy, you know, that it's believed if we get the right person. Well, I think it's important to
Yeah.
get a person who's going to reflect the kind of society that we long for and the kind of world that we long for. And frankly, at this stage in our evolution, I think it's about time we find solutions that don't involve war. You
You're
know,
right.
that we don't need that anymore.
No.
We
No,
really don't.
no one ever wins a war.
No.
Not
No.
ever. I always used to
You
say,
know?
what if they had a war and nobody came?
Yeah, they used to say
Wouldn't
that
that be
back in
great?
the old
That's
days.
what I
Yeah.
said, like, you know, if we all had that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So-
say
Just
if you're
don't
not
show
part
up.
of the...
I'm sorry, you know, I choose not to.
Right, choose not to war.
Yeah.
If everybody did that, they couldn't throw the whole world in jail, you know? They, you know, it's like that saying, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And I've heard that, like what you said about changing ourselves, it's like a ripple effect.
It is,
like throwing a
absolutely.
stone on the water, on a lake, and the ripples come out, and that ripple effect is how it affects everyone else, right?
Right.
And it's very hard in this world, the pull of the world today. It's a very physical world, it's a very sensual world, it's a very world filled with everything is about the body and like you said one
Our
time, you're never
density,
more beautiful enough no matter what you do.
Yeah, we're giving those messages.
Yeah.
And
Power, money.
Until we keep fighting against that density, that heaviness that of the energy that this world represents,
Exactly.
and until we accept it, we can't elevate. I don't
it's true,
think either,
because it's
so.
a schoolroom.
Yeah.
We chose to come here, you know, and we're spirits who chose to be human in order to have the human experience. We are spirits, and we've chosen to have a human experience. And it's important to accept that, even the times that it's very hard to accept.
Yeah.
You know, when we experience feelings that we're told are bad to experience. There's no such thing as a bad feeling.
Right.
It's what we do with the feelings and how we learn from them. Feelings teach us about ourselves, and they're very, very important. They're not always pleasant. And sometimes you do feel conflicting feelings. I know I've had people that I work with say, how come, but I'm feeling this feeling and that feeling that. Yeah,
So,
so? And,
your point is,
exactly.
your point is, yeah.
You know, and we do feel conflicting feelings at times.
That's where we need to become more intimate with our beings. We have to become more intimate within ourselves. Very few people are intimate with their own hearts. We want to be intimate with someone else. We want to find someone we can be intimate
Right.
with.
To
Right, but we
fit,
can't
we
be
think
intimate.
that we're incomplete
Right,
without
right.
this
We can't
puzzle
be,
piece.
It's like meditation. I teach a lot of meditation, and people say, well, I'm not good at it. And I say, why? And they say, because my mind's there. And I say, so? It's like this. Well, is the sun going to come up tomorrow morning?
Right.
Well, yeah. Well, your mind's going to speak. The thing is to find the quietness underneath the chatter, and focus there. It has nothing to do with the mind.
Right.
You know, and so many people don't understand that they think, oh, I'm here to stop my mind. No, you're not.
Right.
That's not meditation. You know, and
Just to
so
say, hello, mind, I
yeah,
acknowledge you.
it's there, and it's going to do its thing. And so, you know, we have these thoughts, and we have these emotions, and the thing is, like, it's okay. You know, but there's
Yeah.
something else going on. There's something that connects all things. And that's what we are, and that's what we need to identify with, because that's really, truly who we are,
Right.
you know.
Do you feel strongly that we should start to come together in more groups, like larger groups?
You just read my
community,
mind.
Like,
I was just going
I
to say
just
that.
feel like there are a lot of
much
people
more
who are
powerful.
quietly seeking. Like they
Yes.
feel they have, questions. They feel like they've had experiences,
Like-minded people coming together. It's just
otherworldly experiences, but they are too afraid to speak. And I think we need
There
more
definitely should be
platforms
a
for people to
forum for
come
that.
together.
Yes, just to come together and meet together. No one has to lead it. We just
Right.
need to come together and ask questions and see if anybody has anything to say about those
Absolutely, and
things. And to
I
be
agree.
real with each other, not to be hiding behind, this is, I want to go dressed a certain way and I want
Right.
to appear a certain way. It's not about that. That divides us, and no one has a good experience then, But it's about love, you know?
And even just meditating for our cause, I feel,
as I said, was saying before about the world the
Yeah.
way it was, coming together like that kind of gives us that spiritual energy, that boost, that feeling, being with like-minded people, doing that kind of thing for a little while, gives you that energy to get back out into the world and do what you have to do. But it's powerful and it helps so much.
Yeah, well, being together is so important. These nuclear families are lethal. With TV sets and all this stuff, if you think about indigenous cultures, and I've done a lot of training and stuff, and I've learned techniques and stuff which are absolutely beautiful, but I try to bring them out, and no one wants to do them, It's just funny. People would rather come home and stay home and locked up. But there are a lot of group things that are done, like learning how to sing songs together. Learning how to journey together, learning how to dance together. They always had dances called power dances, healing dancers.
Oh,
That would be
Indigenous
so
cultures,
nice.
our ancestors for tens of thousands of years didn't have any TV, iPods, radios, nothing. They met together and every night, they would come together and they would dance and they would sing. They would be real with each other. They would
Tell
love each other and
stories.
watch out for each other.
Yeah, and with the
tell
community,
stories.
everybody had their niche, and no one person felt overburdened by the responsibilities.
No, I had a blessed time when I was younger to live in an ashram. And in the ashram, we had like 12 brothers, and there was a sisters' ashram. They had about 6 or 7 sisters in it. But we had an extended community of about 125 people in our locale. And it was, really beautiful. We got together and there was no TV. We got together and shared spiritual discourse every single night. I did it for 7 years straight, every single night. We would share spiritual discourse, and that's all. We'd just come together, all 125, and not everybody would show, but maybe 50 or 60. And then, we get together and meditate, sometimes 8 hours during the weekends or something. We'd just be together. And we'd cook together, we'd eat together, and it was just absolutely divine. It was so beautiful. But I think, answering to your question, I think, yes, we do need to come together more. It's really vital at this point.
And I think it's time for people to start speaking about their experiences more, bravely, I think, to others, because, it's like everybody I feel is walking around like, okay, they're going to think I'm weird if I say I've had this experience, and the
So
person
true.
next to them is thinking the same thing, and, the more we speak out about these experiences, the less foreign they'll be. We'll realize that we're all having, being touched by spirit and
And
I
I
teach
think
the spirituality
Yeah.
classes, and this is what they said to me. It's so nice to be able to talk to someone about these things. It's so nice.
Yeah.
I can't find people to talk to about this.
Same thing
So
in
they
my
love
group.
to do that, and it's wonderful.
And I think there is a lot more openness for it now than
There
ever
is.
before. I mean,
Yeah, there is.
There are, certainly, it's so obvious that people are seeking. And I think I also agree with what you were saying, Traci, too, that people, I see this in my work sometimes. Someone will come to see me and say, you're going to think this is weird. And I said, well, try me. I doubt it. And, I remember many years ago, now most people come to me they already know I'm weird, so.
Maybe you have that weirdness,
Right, but back
comfort
then,
zone.
not everybody knew I was weird. And I remember this one client of mine in particular, she was really trying to tell me something, and she was really nervous. And she said, I don't know how you're going to react to this, but sometimes I see spirits. And I said, yeah, I hear them. She kind of went, excuse me? I said, I hear them. I don't usually see them. Sometimes I hear them. And she said, is it okay? I said, I think it is. There are spirits. You have a gift that you can see that energy, that's all.
Right.
But it was so frightening for her to even ask the question. And, and then when I responded by, oh yeah, I hear them, she was like, really?
Yeah.
You
I
know,
think
and we have different gifts and different ways of connecting with spirit. Some sense, I sense a lot. Some people hear, some people see, feel.
Smell,
You know,
even. Smell is very
exactly.
powerful. Yeah.
Factor,
You know, we're spirits in human form, so we're going to use our human senses to connect with spirit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You talked before about on a journey about our power animals and so forth, and how do they help us, these power animals? Could you explain that to the people if you?
Well, probably first we need to explain power animals.
Yeah.
Okay,
That might be,
explain power. We had talked about in the show, but another show, but let's do it right
okay,
now
so
again.
people have heard about
right.
this.
Maybe, but do it again.
Well, power animals are, and probably Greg can explain it better than I can, but power animals are spirits who come to us in animal form. And animals can be crawling, flying, swimming, four-legged, you know, it can be slithering. When I guide people in journeys, I encourage them to let go of any preconceived notions, you know, and when they meet an animal spirit, a being in animal form, to not feel, oh, that can't be any good. You know, that each one comes with a specific teaching. And to me, the power animal is one, the way I relate to power animals is like they walk with us through the journey. They're like the general practitioner. That's how I see it. And then there are totem animals who help us with specific issues, like the specialists, you know.
Okay, is that what
And
that's what
that's how I do it. I
distinguishes
know
the
if Greg
two?
would
The
go
power and the
along with that
totem?
analogy, but that's sort of how I view them. And they're spirits there to give us guidance. You know, we talk about sacred space. Well, we're in sacred space all the time. We're just not only always conscious of it.
Right.
And the rituals, the ceremonies, meditation, drumming, all these things that we're talking about this evening help to bring us consciously into sacred space so that we can be open to receive the guidance however we choose to receive it. And those who choose to journey to what we call the lower world, which is the world of the animal spirits, we accept spirits who come in animal form to teach us certain lessons and to guide us and to help us live this journey. Anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, the power animals, shamanic work, all religions, they say, there's basically there's three worlds. And, you know, even when we live here, we say, well, here we are in the middle world, there's an upper world, there's a sky and stars and planets, and then there's something below us also. It just so happens that we've got three aspects of the brain. We've got the limbic brain, the midbrain, and the forebrain. The limbic brain is tied to our animal nature.
Yeah, reptilian.
Reptilian brain. And so journeying into aligning to a power animal allows you to honor that aspect of yourself. We can't forego that. You know, God, we have to go through that. We just can't skip over the human body, the human experience to find God somewhere out there. You know, it really is an internal job. It's an inside job.
Yes.
And so the power animal allows us to work with our own physical bodies, to be in it, to honor it, to see it, to cherish it, our emotions, our thoughts. Again, to become intimate with all these things. Become intimate with your emotions, with your thought process, with your physical being. You have to do that. Once you become intimate with it, then you know its aspects, and therefore you're not intimidated by it. You feel responsible. You feel self-esteem. You understand the qualities of these bodies: the physical body, emotional body, mental body, and so that's what the power animal helps us do. It helps us to. It's the power animal. We are animals. We're mammals. We are animals. This allows us to. You working with the power animal allows us to attune to our power, to be here, to stand up and to sing, to stand up and do, or to sit down and be quiet. It allows us to walk the circle, to walk our path. Without that power, we're lost. We listen to others. We say, well, you're the guru, or you're the priest, or you're the rabbi. I'll listen to you, and I'm just going to follow, you know. But in this way, shamanic work says that, like, no, you have to empower yourself. It's an inside job. It's for you, you know.
You know, people, I've heard about a religion or two who think that animals don't have any souls, okay? And they don't treat them with the respect or they should, or they don't feel that they have to do that. You know, the hunters and all things that go on, the factory farming, everything that goes on. How does the shamans feel about the animals?
Everything's in soul. There's anything that doesn't exist. Where is God not?
Right.
Is God someplace? Where is God not? Is there a place that God doesn't exist? Then God isn't omnipresent.
Right.
God's not all powerful. So if you believe that God is everywhere, then everything has a soul, because God is that, has a soul.
Life force.
It's life force. Everything, a rock, the rug,
Right.
it's all here. It all has an existence. Now, consciously, the consciousness is a little different in these physical forms. We can't think that everything has to have our consciousness. Other things have consciousness. And this whole thing with shamanism is talking to these things, is talking to the plants,
Right.
talking to the trees, talking to the rocks, talking to the spirit of the lake. These things have energies. They have knowledge,
And
to
when you
open
study
ourselves
them,
up.
you see like the differences. Like I know that when I practiced Reiki, I started to feel different plant spirits needed for the individual,
yeah,
or feel
absolutely.
like trees,
You listen
willow
to them.
trees or oak
Yeah.
trees, and know that to call upon that vibration for them.
Sure. The Celtic shamans were, when the Romans were over trying to conquer
Druids,
England, they talked a lot to the shamans there, to the druids and stuff, and they said, well, who are you, And their response was, I am the wetness of water, I am the suppleness of the leaf, I am the greenness of grass, I am the gust of the wind. They weren't saying, I'm Greg Besek and I'm this. It's like, no,
Right.
I am all these things.
Right.
There's no limitation to who I am. I am the twinkle in the star. I am the heat of the sun. I'm the coolness of the moon. Oh, I tell you.
To be able to call upon those energies, imagine how
Sure.
many fewer medications we'll need
Well,
to
the
take.
thing is, they all are in us.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Our blood, our bones,
Yep.
our wind. We are all those things.
Right.
Every element.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we have a natural instinct towards it. Before I ever heard of any of this stuff, and I can tell you the year, it was 1968. And I was in great despair. My grandmother, who was very much a mother to me, had died. Martin Luther King was assassinated. Robert Kennedy was assassinated.
Oh, rough year.
And I was in absolute despair. And I couldn't drive at that time. It's a whole other story, but I couldn't because of some physical problems I had. And a friend of mine at that time, again, I was in the convent at the time, offered to take me up to the cloisters. I lived in New York City. And I was saying I felt the need to be near nature in some ways. And so she said, how about I drive you up to the cloisters and you could just walk around there for as long as you want. And it was pouring rain that day. And it was cold. My instinct, I just went by myself. She dropped me off and came back a couple hours later. My instinct was to get drenched in the rain. I just put my face up to the rain, felt the rain. I started touching rocks, trees, plants, anything I could find of the earth. I kept touching, and I had and really felt it inside my own being. It was sort of like being on I guess I think of it now as like a vision quest, but I never knew any of those terms then. But my instinct was to seek out nature to bring me back, and it did. I left there. I still felt very sad about what had happened, but the despair lifted. And I felt that, okay, I have to continue being who I am and continue these journeys of these people with, who I respected so much. So it was a natural instinct to turn to the earth for healing.
That's beautiful.
And I think it's within us.
I had a shorter experience one night. I just remember going through a really dark stage and feeling like this need to accept the darkness. And I remember it was like there was no moon, it was very dark. It was like the darkest night. And I just remember going out in my backyard and laying, on the earth, my whole body, and just saying, okay, darkness,
Yeah.
I accept you. And it was very powerful.
Yeah. A teacher once told me years ago that one of the biggest parts of our journey is to fall in love with ourselves. And we're often taught, you're not supposed to love yourself, that's selfish. But in the truest sense of the word, if we can fall in love with ourselves, which is accepting our humanness, we are much more available to the rest of beings, to the rest of the world.
That's a good point.
And that's what it's really about, is to really accept, like you just described, that time of darkness. Darkness, here I am, and to be with it and to not judge it. Easier said than done. but it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, there's a love that when I was in the ashram, my guru would always talk about. He said, there's a worldly love, and that is, I love you because your hair is black, you got a great smile, and you scratch my back, and I scratch yours, you make a lot of money, or whatever. And then that's love for a reason. And then he says, then there's the unreasonable love. The love exists for no reason at all. And that's the kind of love that we're talking about, that you're talking about, that just is. And you have to go underneath the mind, you have to go underneath your thought process and your desires and your senses, in a way, to the sixth sense, the other sense that resides deep inside of us, to feel the unreasonable love. Once you find that, you're always loved.
Yes.
You abide in love. And it doesn't matter really what happens in the world so much. It's all okay. Not like, killing is bad, it's good or anything. It's just like, well, then you have service to do. You try to stop it. But you don't say, well, I'm going to be happy when. I'll be in love when this happens. Or if I only find this guy or this girl, I'll really be happy. No, there's an unreasonable love abiding within us. And that's what we have to do. It's there already. We don't have to create it. We don't have to go find it. We don't have to go buy it. It's there. And that's what shamanic work is. Shamanism is the mother of all healing and of all religion, and that's primarily what we have to do. Is we heal so that we can love, we can feel our love.
It's beautiful.
Wow.
Thank you so much. That's a powerful way to end this.
End our show. It is. It's been wonderful as usual.
It was a very active show, and you got to show us so much.
And it goes so fast. I can't believe it.
We're going to give some contact information here. Here's Judy's contact information. You can reach her you can visit her website at www.judypeluso.com. Her phone number is 203-468-1600. And you can reach Gregory Besek at his website, www.thecenterpole.com, and his phone number is 860-344-9531. Okay, we're going to put up our contact information now.
To get in touch with us.
Okay.
For me, you can call me at 203-627-7966. For Traci, it's 203-232-3405. And you can email your questions about this show or any other show that has been in the past to healoutsidethebox@yahoo.com. For show schedules, visit either www.entirebeing.com, which is Traci's website, or mine, which is www.rosemarylachance.com.
Okay, and we're going to leave you, as we always do, with a quote, once again from Hans's
book of the Book of Courage, and here's the one we chose for tonight. Only cowards hate change because they wish to keep on living and thinking in their customary ways, but the brave ones set fire to that which is old and continue onward.
Thank you all very much for joining us, and stay tuned for shows.
For the future shows, many shows to come in the future.
See you next time.
Bye-bye. Good night.
As you look out through the window to the world you have made, always know you are the vision. See the truth, darkness fade.